Then Barbara, as soon as Peter comes in, you can leave. Oh, you see what? So, all right, we'll start the meeting. Zoom public is asked to remain muted while the meeting and the board are talking. Blah, blah, blah. In-person public participants will be given the first opportunity to comment. Zoom participants will be given the second opportunity to comment. Please put your hand up if you're on Zoom. Okay, call the meeting to order. Barbara, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cody?
Please join us in a moment of silence as we recognize Memorial Day next Monday and all the lives that were lost, and our thoughts and prayers are with not only them, but their families. Thank you.
Being recorded on. Chairman's report, board met in executive session after the May 7th meeting to discuss a real estate matter, and tonight the board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel and real estate matters. Now we'll open the floor for public comment. Any public comment? Who's on Zoom? Just Michelle?
Just Michelle.
Public comment, Michelle?
I'm going to make an announcement that this is National EMS Week, and we are having a contingency coming from East Goshen Township to Good Fellowship this week to celebrate that with them.
East Goshen, who's going on that, Michelle?
I believe Barbara is going, and Cody, I thought that you were going to try to attend.
Yep, I'm going to do my best.
And I'm going to try to be there too. We'll see how I'm sneezing.
You don't want to make the EMS people sick. Huh? All right, no other public comment, and we'll ask for the emergency services report. We go. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Okay, I'd like to begin with the statistical report tonight, as always. For the month of April, there were 2,235 entries into our records management system. Of that number, 1,210 involved East Goshen. Year-to-date calls, 8,724. Of those calls, 4,766 calls were from East Goshen Township. When we compare our calls for service from now to pre-pandemic, our numbers are much higher. When the proactive calls are taken out of the calculations, our numbers are still higher, but the percentage is not as dramatic. Right now, they're ranging between 7 and 12% higher than what they were before the pandemic. With regard to some of our social media and community outreach, I'm pleased to announce that in April, we participated in a garden party at Matt Black Florist that was complete with live music and a bonfire. And we would like to take this opportunity to invite the residents to join us for Cones with a Cop on June 14th at the East Goshen Park. There will be more announcements, and we will coordinate with Jason Lang. We hope that you can join us there. It's a great way to not only enjoy some refreshing ice cream, but to talk to us about any concerns that you might have. Okay, with regard to trends that occurred in East Goshen during the month of April, there were 3 major trends. We had 14 fraud or scam investigations. One of those was a check washing scam. The frauds varied greatly from sextortion via Snapchat, grandparent scam, bank hack scam, pharmacy record scam, federal law enforcement warrant scam, computer repair scam, and identity theft. We continue to reach out to our residents and try to educate them on all of these things, but the bottom line is that if somebody contacts you and they want immediate payment, chances are very high that's a scam. Call the police, we will help you sort through it. Nothing puts a damper on their scam like us calling them up and saying, hi, talk to us instead. The second trend that we saw in East Goshen was 15 incidents involving disturbance, disputes, domestics, harassment incidents. That's slightly higher than normal, but lower than last month. And lastly, theft investigations. We had 7 theft investigations in East Goshen during April. 3 were regular thefts and 4 were thefts from motor vehicles. For that particular trend, I would say that Bow Tree development was particularly hard hit with the theft from the vehicle. So again, we encourage residents, remove your valuables, lock your cars, and if you see anything suspicious, call the police. Particularly during warm weather, we find that it tends to trend upwards, so this is not unexpected. With regard to unusual crimes in East Goshen, we are seeing both in West Town and East Goshen that alcohol and drug-related investigations are starting to increase. For example, in East Goshen during the month of April, there were 2 DUI arrests and 1 public drunkenness arrest. And also in East Goshen, we don't normally see a large number of simple assaults, but we had 3 simple assaults investigations in the township that involved 2 arrests. Are there any questions from the board?
Any questions from the floor for the chief? Michelle? No? Okay, thank you, chief.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Sorry, no, I don't have any questions. Thanks, chief.
Okay,
Thank you.
we have the reports from Goshen Fire, Malvern Fire, and Good Fellowship. We don't
So-
usually read them, but you usually summarize them.
I don't think we usually just say it's in the report. It's in the packet if somebody wants to peruse them at their leisure. But Grant is usually here. So Vice Chair, he is not here tonight. He said he would probably be here around 7:30. He has an obligation prior to this. So we will, if he does pop in, we'll circle back to the fire
Okay.
report.
Thank you. No public hearings. We'll take the financial report then. Dave, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Fair. Let's see. As of April 30th, now the pass-throughs, the general fund had year-to-date revenues of $5,368,461 and expenses of $3,991,447 for a net result of $1,377,014. That's positive. As of April 30th, the general fund balance was $7,627,261. Versus the budget, our April year-to-date revenue finished at 3.3% or $181,000 under budget. Alarm fees, permit fees, insurance proceeds, and summer program fees offset our budget shortfalls in real estate property tax, real estate transfer tax, and EIT collections. Year-to-date April expenses are 1% with $38,000 over budget, pretty good. Stormwater materials, public works, sewer repairs, and assistance with the Ridley Creek sanitary treatment plant projects drove the shortfall versus budget. Versus our prior year-to-date revenue is $237,000 higher than year-to-date 2023 due to our summer program signups, insurance claims and dividends, building permits and alarm fees. Expenses are up $345,000 versus prior year, driven primarily by legal cost increases for East Goshen. The full year budget increase for WeGo gets us to about $5.2 million for our share for this year. You'll see in the comparison report there, we budgeted to put about $37,000 a month towards the increased cost, since Thornberry is no longer a portion of that. So at the end of the year, we're looking probably at about almost a $450,000 loss that will have to be offset by existing fund balance transfers. If that is the only thing that we're under, and we can come back with our real estate transfer and real estate as well as EIT, then I think that's a good day. We look in line with expenses. It's really just that shortfall for the WeGo that we need to catch up. Any questions that anybody has on those?
Dave, let me ask you about the third page. The second last column, I think I know what this is, but I want to be clear.
Mhm.
We show a I guess it's a payment of 516,000 and change for conservation and development. Is that, the dam?
Correct, that's Meltown.
Okay, so all 516,000 is Milton.
Yes.
Okay, okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Anyone else?
Any, questions from the floor? Okay. Moving on, approval of the minutes. We're looking at, Derek, we're looking at the April 16th minutes, is that right?
Correct, Mr. Vice Chair. April 16th, May 7th should be there at the next meeting, along with this one as well.
Okay.
I do have a correction while we're on the subject. So,
Okay.
Jess, I just saw this page 3, was it page 2, line 29. For the name right there, Carl Mikowski, it actually, so the C should be a K for Carl. And then his last name, Milkowski, should be Milkowski.
Mr. Vice Chair, I make a motion, we approve those minutes, or these minutes with that amendment, friendly amendment.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions from the floor? Nothing on Zoom, so I'll call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed. 5-0. Thank you, Michelle. Treasurer's report. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Attached the treasury report for May 2nd, 2024 through May 16th, 2024. All tax collections, interest income, quarterly franchise fees, permits, and PNR registrations drove our general fund revenue during this period. Our general fund expenses include our monthly WEGO contribution, as well as the capital contribution, which is annual, insurance payments, tree removal, and routine operational expenses. We had the capital reserve fund, $251,000 of expenditures for a replacement Peterbilt chassis, Ford Explorer, and 50% of the replacement gas pump system, material and installation costs. Alongside that, I did do a breakdown of looking at what the software costs versus the other bid that we had, software costs. The 5-year cost comes in almost exactly the same. The biggest difference in the software costs is this one that we are from Hafer is going to the cloud and has a cellular modem attached with it, which requires it automatically updates, whereas the other one from EO Haupegger would be probably replacing the entire software and system every 5 years, which could be about $8,500. So when I use those estimates, the replacement is within $400 of each other each year that we would put away to fund for this, including a depreciation expectation to the cap reserve. So we'd be looking at about $11,500, $11,900 per year to the cap reserve to fund this in the future.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Vice Chair, Dave, thanks for this. There's one quick question. On page 5, I see we had a mailbox reimbursement. What is the number of replacements that we've done this year? At the $50 amount?
One.
Oh, that's the only one?
Yes.
All right.
I think there's gonna be another one.
Okay, I haven't got it yet. There was only the one that you let go through. The other ones were $25.
How many-
Oh, you know what? I think it was there. Oh, yeah. you're
How many
right.
$25 have we done?
I want to say
Four?
four.
Four.
Four,
That's what I
yeah.
thought. Okay, thanks. That's all I have. Yep.
We haven't done much planning this year.
They must not be letting cold dry.
I have a question, Dave, on page 1, and this is unusual because this is brought up to me by a resident. On page 1, 5 lines from the bottom, there's a charge for $1,400.64, $1,464.29. And it's from Verizon. I'm not sure what that is.
That is all of the cell phones that are used by, were used by board members, are currently used by all public works staff, administrative staff. That's pretty much the monthly bill.
That's the mother. How many of the board members have a cell phone, township cell phone?
Barbara does. I think everybody else turned theirs in, but the ones that we got were on a 2-year contract. So until those are done, I have to pay it out.
Dave, for clarity, I never had one. You did not, thank you.
Okay,
You said-
well,
you-
I'm
you
one
said
of the ones that
Thursday,
handed
so.
mine in, so, okay. So that's a number of people in that building.
Yes.
I think it's like
and if we
28
do-
lines total.
When we do get trade-ins and things, well, yeah, it's about,
It's about 28 lines total, phone lines.
Okay,
and when we do get trade-ins or people hand them back, and they realize that they're not using it as much, I turn them into Gazelle and get as much money as I can and deposit it.
got it. I just, I want to repeat, I was asked that by a resident of East Basin, and I felt I should bring it up here. So I think that's a good explanation.
Yeah, it makes it look like, since it's tied to Derek's line, that he has a really.
I have a golden cell phone.
All right, any other questions on the treasurer's report?
I'll make the motion. Mr. Vice Chair, I move that we accept the receipts and approve the expenditures as presented in the expenditure register and to summarize the treasurer's report.
Second,
Thank you. No comments? I'll call the question then, all in favor? Aye.
aye.
Okay, it's like 5. No old business this time, it's unusual. New business, discussion on trash and recycling contract for 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So I'll start this off. This is probably the most interesting conversation of the night and also the most difficult. So we are at a point in our contract with AJ Blazinski for trash and recycling services. We are wrapping up the initial 3 years at the end of 2024. We now have the option for 2 one-year extensions individually. You can do that. So you can re-up for 2025, and then next year you can go and re-up for 2026. So, we've been talking about this internally for a long time. Probably don't stop talking about it. But obviously there's, region-wide and even maybe nationwide, there's been some issues with trash collection, not only for AJ Blazinski, but for other companies. The industry as a whole is just not really where it was 10 to 15 years ago. There's a lot of reasons for that, which we don't have, probably nobody wants to hear, we don't have time to get into, but right now we are at this juncture where we have to decide what we want to do. Do we want to go out to bid this year, or do we want to at least do a one-year extension and go with AJ Blazinski through 2025? Looking at the pros and cons, we talked about this just last week internally pretty at length. And I honestly was going to just kind of leave it a little bit more open-ended, but talking about it as staff, we definitely feel one way over the other as far as what's best for the township and the operations and fiscally. So as you can see on my memo, we're recommending that it's probably best to do a year extension. I say that recognizing, again, some of the issues I just alluded to, but also with the fact if you look at the last time we went out to bid in 2021, we've gotten, I think, 2 bids total. One was 50% less than the other. Both companies are now owned by the same conglomerate. So that was the last time we went out to bid. They're now owned by the same party. We would envision, if we went out this year, a scenario where we could still get AJ Blazinski because they're the only ones bidding on, it seems like, everything. Although some townships have gotten other bids, but they seem to be coming out low bid everywhere. So if we were to go out for bid, we can see a scenario where we're going out, we get AJ Blazinski again for a higher price than we're paying right now under the current contract. And I don't think that's just a long shot. I think Dave and I talked, that's a real possibility.
I think we understand that.
Yeah.
Let's be clear here. Dave, I have $962,479 for the 22 contract. You have the numbers for this year?
Yeah, it's about $85,000 a month.
85K.
The current contract, it only escalates by the amount of COLA. So, even though they've billed us incorrectly every year since 22, I've gotten the COLA sheets, gone back to them and gotten them to revise their estimates. So, it take that times 8.2 or 8.1, and then again, but it's basically $85,000 a month that we're
So
paying.
It's about 1,020,000.
Yeah, that's what I got too,
Yeah.
a little over $1 million. And it goes up by the CPIU, which is the urban cost price. Okay,
Yeah, it's 12-month trailing as of December 31st. So the projections right now are 3.2% in 25 or 20, the end of 24. So we would be looking at a 3%, 3.2% increase. And I can't see it being higher than 3% the next year. I've talked to a number of the finance directors in Chester County, and the ones on the lucky side are coming back with 10% increases, and Upper Euclid just went out and got a 55% increase for 24.
okay, well, I'm fine with that.
My original budget for the 5-year, when we went from $75 a quarter to $100 a quarter, assumed an average 3 to 4% increase in inflation. So as is the current contract, we could go out through 26 and I wouldn't have to raise reference rates.
The fees are set and.
We're good.
And they're good, okay, that's
So
what I
I-
wanted to hear.
I did want to make a very important point, though. With some of the increases in complaints, Dave and I have taken a hard look. We are tracking penalties for missed services on a weekly basis, a lot better than was done in the past. And we're just going to start a process where we keep track of that, and then that gets deducted from, the bill that we pay. So we are going to be doing that a lot more going forward. I would like to make that point. And this also gives us a little bit more time to explore options in general. We've had discussions at the COG level on maybe there's something we can do from a joint contractual thing, not exactly, anything more than multi-jurisdictional contract, but, our theory there is, the more players at the table, the better buying power we have. So, it gives us a little bit more time, the year extension, to look at that, maybe look at some of our language with penalties, clean that up, which I would like to do. So I know everything's not perfect right now in the trash and refuse front. And believe me, other communities are dealing with the same thing, but I do wholeheartedly think that we should be doing the extension and then taking a look at it in 2025.
All right, the concern I have, is, this is fine. The concern I have is what happens after 2025. How much do you expect? I guess you can't even predict how much they're gonna. Right.
You can't, and I had that conversation with myself a million times. The only thing I can come up with is trash and refuse industry cannot be worse than it is at this exact second. I mean, it's just,
I'm Irish,
it is, I mean,
Now we're cursed.
it's, it's as bad as it's ever been. And like I said, AJ is the one that's getting a lot of the low bids around here. I'm hoping that either we can come up with a multi-jurisdictional contract or we can get a few other players involved. And I do want to actually, I'd like to reach out to a couple companies and see, what makes them bid on things? What is it that about certain jurisdictions that they don't bid on? Have some conversations with other companies, it just gives me a little bit more time to
That's a
explore
good
that.
point.
So,
Lord knows we pay our bills.
Yep, and to Derek's point, AJ Blazinski has been bought by Waste Connections, so we had really good service and had AJ as a direct contact up to the point where it was bought. Then he got closed out, and since then services dropped. The residents are doing a really good job of giving us the complaints and letting us know when trash is being missed, like entire streets or neighborhoods. So I put it together from Ashley Nowak and Lynn Werkheiser both put a lot of work into taking all those forms and data and phone calls, getting back to people, letting the contractor know, taking that into account. April, looking at billing in June, I would reduce them by fines of $14,800.
That much?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
it's a
one of the
lot.
reasons we haven't had the fines is because we haven't had the poor service until now.
Correct.
yeah, I mean, I think there was always a desire, even when they had a miss pickup here or there, to try to work, you have to work together with the hauler, you're under a contract. But I think it just got to the point where, okay, we have to be more stringent about it.
But that's only April fines,
Okay, yeah, that's only,
and that's $25 a well.
All right, well, we can use that money.
Yeah.
Any other comments on the board?
Mr. Vice Chair, I just have, I don't know what the board's appetite is for this, but since sewer rates are already, we're gonna have to increase sewer rates. And if we can basically, we don't have to raise refuse rates if we renew with the 1 year each. I don't know if the board's interested in me making a motion, so we don't have to bring this
I'll
back.
make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Vice Chair, I make a motion that we renew our 1 year extension for both trash and refuse. Starting in 2025, and then we'll reevaluate once that contract's done.
And I would just add to that, authorize the township manager to sign a extension on behalf of the township.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments from the room? Okay, I'll call the question then, all in favor?
Aye.
There's 4 of these.
Aye.
Thank you, Michelle.
Uh-huh.
And 5, I think, passes. I see the chief is here. Would you like to? Did you report? Thank you.
Good evening. Here for the Goshen Fire Company report for April. In the month of April, we had 15 fire responses, 22 fire police responses, and 366 EMS responses. Of those calls, we had 17 fire calls in East Goshen, 4 fire police calls in East Goshen, and 176 EMS calls in East Goshen Township. Major incidents for the month. We assisted Westchester at 511 West Market Street for building fire. We had a unusual rescue at 264 Chatham Way. We had a person that actually got entangled in the chair and some husband, our team did a really nice job of getting them separated and on their way to the hospital. We assisted Westchester again on the 24th at 326 North Walnut Street, for stuff in the building. It was caused by a power surge in the borough. So at the same time, there was a call for our engine to assist the Criminal Justice Center because all of Westchester was another call. And they rescued 11 people out of elevators in the Criminal Justice Center. That was an interesting day for us. And then on the 28th, we assisted West Whiting with a house fire at 1424 Ship Road. Quick update, the Mother's Day sale, which was actually in May, but I want to say there was a success. We had stock through about 1 o'clock on Sunday, which was sold out. So it pretty much hit right on the numbers. We're happy to see that. It's a little bit in the future when we're starting to ramp up for the fair. There's been a little chatter in the news about some of the local fairs. We're pretty confident in how we run ours and its location and the way the parking and all of that's configured. We don't anticipate any problems. We will prepare for any issue that may arise and be able to respond to it. But hopefully we'll quietly.
I understand you've been talking to the police again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do every year, but because of our.
Cody is our police commissioner and he's ready to cooperate in any way.
Last night I was raking my yard after I was cutting my grass and Teddy walked by and I asked him a bunch of questions about that. And I told him, we have our police commission on Wednesday, but if it's something that you guys do need increased presence, whether it's just, the Friday, Saturday, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the busier dates, just let us know and, we'll talk among the boards for, I don't love OT, but OT for community safety is much cheaper than shutting down the fair, so.
I appreciate this.
We'd rather over prepare than under prepare, guys. Okay.
Last thing, we probably heard the side for the funding grant through Congressman Luann's office. We got a nice letter of support from Cody. After all 4 townships provided letters of support with our submission.
Good.
And it made its way to committee considerations. It's still a very competitive process. But fingers crossed and that will go towards our potential building.
Great. I see you putting on a new roof too.
We are 25 years old. We've got every nickel out of that. I was impressed that they did have to leave one day.
And
That's not,
that's a big group, yeah.
yeah, it is. We're not.
All right. Any questions for the chief?
Hey, Grant, I appreciate all your, edit extra reporting that you've been putting in. Just one question about, what is your definition of man hours on the year-to-date summary?
So that's staff hours, it's probably a okay term, but that's person hours or staff hours,
Like actually involved in whatever that service call is?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's from the time of dispatch to the time of back and quarters.
Okay.
Something.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Question? Okay, you want to come up to the microphone? Is this related to the fire department? Oh, well, that's where we are right now. Would you
Public
mind
comment.
waiting till we had, public comment before King? It's not far, and I keep moving. Thank you, Grant.
Thanks, Grant.
Thank you.
Okay, the third escrow release for Applebrook.
John, if you're okay with this, and if no one has questions, I can just start whizzing through these draft motions.
Why don't you do that? See how fast you can go?
Um, I move that the board authorizes the chair to release the requested escrow amount of $159,265.93.
Okay, what? This is Applebrook, right? Okay.
Second.
Second motion. Any questions about the Applebrook release? All right, then we'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. Thank you, Michelle. Escrow release for 706 Hemlock Hill Lane.
Mr. Vice Chair, I move that we authorize the chair to release the remaining escrow amount of $2,718.25, and thereby closing the escrow account for 706 Hemlock Hill Lane.
I don't want to throw.
Second.
1 second. I said,
Second.
What's this for? It doesn't say, and I don't recall
House against you.
it. Does anyone remember? Is this a house?
Yeah.
It is a house, it's a pool, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
thought that was the one.
I'm just curious.
I thought that was the one that kind of exploded. They had a lot of stuff that they were doing.
The next one is a pool.
Oh, I'm
They-
sorry, I
Mike
got the
Williams
two, yeah,
Started that.
Yep.
Ton of money.
yeah,
Front, so.
yeah,
Okay.
that was a land development, I'm sorry, I was mixing that up with the next one.
Well, this is recommended by Brent Dwayne, so I'm comfortable with that. And the motion has been made. Are any questions in the room on 706 Hemlock Hill? Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're up to the stormwater agreement at 1580 Circle.
This was the pool.
This was the pool, and I remember that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I take a motion.
Mr. Vice Chair, I move that the board authorize the chair to sign the stormwater management operation maintenance agreement for the new and ground pool located at 1680 Hunter Circle.
Second. Second,
Yeah.
any questions about this? Any questions in the room? Not hearing any, I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
So just a point of clarification, not on the agenda, but in the packet, there are two other stormwater management agreements involving pools. They were not supposed to be they're not on the agenda, but they were placed in the packet by accident, so they will be in the June meeting. So we just,
Because we didn't advertise for it.
yeah, we didn't advertise it. So that one was correct, 1680 Hunter Circle, but there were other ones that made it into at least my packet, and that'll be done on June 18th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And the resolution for 2024-07 disposal of records documents.
This is pretty standard. We do this every year. The Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission has a process for how to go about destroying administrative records at the township level. It's laid out pretty clearly. We follow it to a T. We do maintain a spreadsheet in-house to codify all that. And if there's ever a right to know request, we have that information, but this is the resolution passed every year. letting the board know, we're, asking the board to pass the fact that we are going to dispose of records regularly and in accordance with PHMC.
Mr. Vice Chair, I move that we pass resolution 2024-07, authorizing the disposal of East Goshen Township records in accordance with Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission guidelines.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Well, thank you, Barbara. You don't sound sick, Michelle.
You didn't just hear the coughing and sneezing fit I had, John. What
Well-
years are going to be destroyed, Derek?
I believe it is. I have the Excel sheet downstairs. I believe it's the last, I want to say 5 years. But I don't want to say specific documents of what it is because it's on the Excel sheet, so I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah, it depends. Financial
That's
records
okay.
at 7 years, the permits are under a different obligation. The last time that the updates were done, to the code, it was 2019, so we're following that list.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, I think employment records have to be kept for at
Yeah.
least 7 years too, don't they?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Michelle,
None.
hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Standing issues, Milltown Dam project, where are we on that there?
We are still working on the trail that was authorized by the board in-house. Mark and the guys are doing a great job. The Milltown Dam project, the dam itself is pretty much done. I mean, the restoration still has to, the seed and grass will have to grow in, but the dam breach itself went well. It's, knock on wood, but it was a smooth operation that Flyway had there,
And on target with price.
on target with price.
I love
Yeah.
Dave, Dave always has important notes like that.
So, and then we're just kind of going in-house and doing the remainder of the work that we stated we would be doing back in March, which is mainly a trail around the property. And
Yes.
a parking.
And when are you gonna do that?
We're doing it right now.
Oh,
It's
okay.
continuing. Yep.
Well, that'll make all the residents
The
down
dirt, the
there.
dirt portion's done, yeah.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
it's almost wrapped up.
Yeah, it's been a
Looks
couple
good.
weeks since I went down there. but
Yeah,
it
you can
looks
see all the
good
way
then.
through the creek. A lot of people have commented. It's nice. You can actually see the water, the
Yeah.
kids are asking about fish.
And the water moves
Yeah,
instead of standing still.
yeah, starting to dry out now.
Starting to dry out. I mean, it's gonna take
Oh,
a couple of years, but it's starting to dry out.
Yeah, they still have to do bat houses and I think a lot of wildflower seeds and maybe some other plantings, but other than that, the trail portion is pretty much good.
Okay, good. That's good news. From the board, any other matter? No?
Yes,
Um,
actually, John, I attended the COG meeting last week with Derek.
People, what COG is,
The Council of Governments, it's the Westchester Area Council of Governments. It includes a number of townships in the area and including West Goshen, Westchester, East Bradford, and others. And so we talked about emergency services and the emergency operation plan. And so I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that the COG will probably be looking for some direction at the next meeting in July regarding spending the $6,000 energy budget that was in the was in the energy fund. They asked what we should do with it. And my suggestion was to move it over to the general fund. And that makes a total of about 9,000 and some change in the COG fund, the treasury. What they would like to do is they'd like to know what we should do with this money. And I suggested doing a collective COG level emergency operation plan with possibly doing breakout annexes for each of the townships so that we can work collectively together to see what kind of services one township can offer another in the event of an emergency. This is something that is already done on a looser kind of way, in a looser way. Everybody has everybody's phone numbers, but at least this would give a better sense of how townships really are helping one another. So that's something that I'd like a little bit of direction from the board to see if that's the way we'd like to go. So that'll be for discussion later.
Who would do the work on this, Michelle?
That would be something that we would have to determine. It would probably be a group of supervisors and managers from the COG.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, we'll move on then, public comment. I told you we could move quickly. Yes. Okay.
I'm going to say that I'm in deep for the lack of progress at my time. I'm wondering when the first thing was any more out there, the survey about that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear any of that.
I don't know, is the microphone
It's on, it's on.
It's
yeah.
on. I think you just have to talk directly into the mic. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Should I start over?
That's-
yeah, Michelle, got to hear.
My name is Ruth Ann Stewart. I've been a resident of Bowtree since the beginning, so it's been about 2 years. And I have to say, I'm deeply disturbed about the lack of progress on the renovation to the pond at the bottom of the hill of Bowtree Park. I'm curious, when was the last time any of you were out there to look at the pond?
Couple months ago.
Are you talking about the pond with the big bags and all? So the dredging's done.
Yeah, that's the
Correct.
dry
We-
out.
We can't move anything until those bags dry out, and then the restoration
For it to dry.
for it to dry out.
You could just let the water go and then pull up whatever debris is in the bottom of the bags and get everything out of it.
It's way too dangerous to do it as of right now. So the way it has to be on, it has to totally dry out, and then it'll be spread out.
Bags are so sure.
When they did the process, they pack the bags, they pump them full, and then they whack them and they smash it down and the water comes out as much as they can get out, then the bags are left for up to a year to dry. Once they're dry, then they're opened, that is screed out and bulldozed so that they could plant over top of that.
Is this the right decision?
Yes.
This is the way this thing.
Yeah. Yes,
How long do you think it will take to complete?
probably towards the end of this year.
I would say towards end of fall 2024. I mean,
That was the expectation, is that it would sit over the summer, dry out, cut
Yeah.
open the bags, get all that pushed out, get all this plantings and seeding done, and then add it grow.
No, I'll see you around this.
Okay, that's fair.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming in.
Have a nice night.
Is there any other public comment? Do we have any liaison reports? Apparently not. Okay, Cody?
I'd like to make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion,
Okay,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
thank you.
Motion passes.
Feel better,
Thank you,
Michelle.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you.